Crane Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, recorded at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @CueNReview. That is @CueNDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@cuenreview.com. That is INFORMATION@CuenReview.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the 30th of August 2023, this week's podcast is read to you by Alan, Corey, Hunter and Ian. Annual Festival a success? Thousands of people set a course for East Dunbartonshire on Saturday and Sunday as the 2023 Kirkintilloch Canal Festival got into full swing. Residents and visitors of all ages enjoyed a treasure chest of fun, including a free live concert, fireworks, boat trips, activities, attractions, stalls, classic cars and more at the Marina, Cowgate, Townhead and Barley Bank. Check out next week's Kirkintilloch Herald for a full roundup of all the action. You can also visit eastdunbarton.gov.uk/Canal Festival. Area's drug deaths drop. A story written by Fraser N. Wilson and read to you today by me, Ian. The number of drugs-related deaths in East Dunbartonshire fell last year by almost half. That shows there were just 9 deaths related to drugs, falling from 16 in 2021. And the figures are in line with the national picture on such deaths, with the number of people dying due to drug misuse in Scotland last year the lowest for 5 years. The national figure dropped by 279 to 1,051 deaths. However, the country is still blighted by the worst drug death rate in Europe. And, despite the fall, such deaths are still more than 3 times as common as they were 2 decades ago. Of the drug-related deaths in East Dunbartonshire, 8 were deemed to be accidental poisoning, with 1 intentional poisoning. Data from the National Records of Scotland suggested there were no drug abuse-related deaths in the region. However, drugs found in the systems of those deceased were familiar to the country's drugs problem, i.e. methadone, heroin, benzodiazepine, street benzodiazepine, and diazepam, to name a few listed. The previous year, 2021, was a high for the region since 2010, with 2020 having 14 deaths. 2010 saw just 6. Last year's number saw 7 males and 2 female drugs-related deaths, with the majority of those dying in the 45 to 54-year-old age bracket. The death rate for the region's health board, NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde, was also down on 2021. Then there were 427. Nationally, opiates and opioids, including heroin, morphine and methadone, were implicated in more than 8 out of 10 drug-related deaths in 2022. The majority of drug misuse deaths were classified as accidental poisonings, with 7% classed as intentional self-poisonings. The rate of drug poisoning deaths in Scotland was 2.7 times as high as the UK average in 2021, the most recent year that data is available for the UK as a whole. Glasgow City Council had the highest rate of drug misuse deaths over a 5-year period, 44.4 per 100,000, closely followed by Dundee City, 43.1. The lowest rates over the same period were East Renfrewshire, 9.5, and Aberdeenshire, 11.1. Drugs Minister Eleanor Whitham last week visited the Enhanced Drug Treatment Service, EDTS, team in Glasgow. There, NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde said they welcomed the improvement that the figures showed. Suzanne Miller, Chief Officer for Glasgow Health and Social Care Partnership, said EDTS takes a targeted approach for several people in the city at the highest risk of drug-related death. The figures released indicate services such as this are having a positive impact on drug-related deaths, and although these figures remain higher than we would like, it is positive to see these moving in the right direction. Meanwhile, Ms. Whitham said, "While I'm pleased to see hundreds of families have been spared this agony and lives have been saved, every life lost is a tragedy, and the number of deaths is still too high." This week in history, August the 31st, 2012, the German manufacturer of anti-morning sickness drug thalidomide apologised for the thousands of children born without limbs as a result of its use. On this day last year, Mikhail Gorbachev, the man who brought down the Iron Curtain by introducing glasnost and perestroika to the Soviet Union, died, aged 91. September the 1st, 1971, the British penny and the 3-penny piece coins ceased to be legal tender as decimalisation continued. September the 2nd, 1939, on the eve of the official declaration of the Second World War, Ted Drake scored 4 goals for Arsenal against Sunderland, and Bournemouth beat Northampton Town 10-0 at Dean Court. On this day last year, Jennifer Lopez shared further details of her recent marriage to Ben Affleck, describing the occasion as one of the most perfect nights of our lives. September the 3rd, 1962, the Trans-Canada Highway, 4,800 miles from St John's, Newfoundland to Victoria, British Columbia, was opened. September the 4th, 1989, Georges Simenon, creator of Detective Magri, died in Lausanne, Switzerland. September the 5th, 1847, Jesse James, American outlaw, was born near Kansas City. With his elder brother Frank, he led the first gang to carry out train robberies.
Cinema on the Water. A film exploring the history and heritage of the Antonine Wall is to be shown aboard specialist sailings on the Forth and Clyde Canal. The Antonine Wall, a 37-mile landmark, will be screened on sailings from Kirkintilloch South Bank Marina and back. The captivating film draws inspiration from a silent movie created in the 1950s by Professor Anne Robertson and is being screened as part of the Rediscovering the Antonine Wall project. Councillor Paul Ferretti, convener of Place, Neighbourhood and Corporate Assets, said he was delighted the special screenings have been organised. He told the Herald, "It will be an amazing experience to watch the film, the culmination of years of dedication and hard work, while enjoying a leisurely sail on the Forth and Clyde Canal. At the moment, we have managed to arrange 2 daytime screenings. If these prove popular, then we can potentially look at additional events in future." The Antonine Wall was built from around 142 AD, marking the northwest frontier of the Roman Empire, running through eastern Bartonshire. Efforts to educate and raise awareness to the structure and its significance has also seen the creation of a Roman-themed play area at Peel Park, a replica distance stone in Twecker, and a Roman granary garden in Bearsden. In part, that's thanks to support from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, Kelvin Valley and Falkirk Leader Programme, Historic Environment Scotland, and various local authorities. Project Manager of Rediscovering the Antonine Wall, Stephen Balfour, told us, "We are pleased that Eastern Bartonshire Council and the Forth and Clyde Canal Society have chosen to show the Antonine Wall, a 37-mile landmark film. The filmmakers have done a tremendous job of creating an entertaining, educational and social history record which shines a light on the volunteers and community groups who have helped us to deliver the project. There will be 2 showings on Tuesday, September 19th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Bookings cost £5 per person and are available at Kirkintilloch Community Hub. Please note, card payments only." Read by Alan Todd.
Art Show is in Town, as recorded by Hunter MacDonald. A fantastic array of art capturing magical moments in time, portraits and landscapes is currently on offer at the Old Kirk Museum in Kirkintilloch. The annual art exhibition is a celebration of inspiration, insight and technique, including works by talents from the Kirkintilloch, Bishopbriggs, Lenzie and Campsie areas. The exhibition was created by acclaimed artist Dick Stevenson to showcase local amateur and professional artists, growing from a competition in his small townhead gallery to a full-scale celebration at the Old Kirk. This year's show, supported by the Old Kirk and East Dunbartonshire Leisure and Culture Trust, features more than 40 captivating pieces and is open for visits until September the 7th. For more information, call 0141 777 3013 or visit www.edlc.co.uk. Charity backs kids to have their say. Secondary pupils in Kirkintilloch are being encouraged to submit their best ideas for transforming their local high street. That's as part of a competition by Scottish charity TechFest. Following a successful pilot year, which brought a range of creative designs by students across Scotland, the charity is again challenging students across the country to redesign their high streets as part of their Blueprints Challenge, a future high street. A collaboration with specialist private equity firm focused on global energy, blue water, and the initiative has been developed to inspire children to think about future energy and how this can be integral to a better environment and social agendas. However, this year, as pupils return to school, the charity has written to the First Minister urging him to help raise awareness and drive positive engagement with council planners to support the regeneration of Scottish high streets, giving young people a seat at the decision-making table into the bargain. Sarah Chew, Managing Director of TechFest, said, "The Scottish High Street is in crisis and we need urgent action to save them. That is why the challenge is a huge opportunity to champion the youth voice and help transform how we use our high streets. Young people have a different perspective, and this is not only a way to make your voice heard, but give you valuable and lifelong career skills." For more on how to take part, head to techfest.org.uk/education.
Auchinnairn site will be developed. East Dunbartonshire Council are to allocate the former Auchinnairn Primary School to developers for much needed affordable housing. Having opened in 1876, the former Bishopbriggs School shut its doors in March 2017. Now, plans are underway to develop the site into housing for the area. The previous closure saw Auchinnairn Primary merge with Woodhill Primary and Claydon's Learning Centre. Council leader Gordon Lowe told the Herald, "At our council meeting in June, we agreed that rather than proceed to sell the former Auchinnairn Primary School site, we should transfer it to our housing revenue account to be developed for much needed affordable housing in the area. It is great news that we are now in the process of completing this transfer, and will then look to undertake a feasibility study of the site to determine the number and type of affordable homes we can build." Whilst the site was originally to be sold for private development, reallocating it for council redevelopment was the right decision for our local residents, particularly given the current economic landscape. This is consistent with the council's new strategic priorities and the approach taken at other vacant sites. Just this year, we have seen the welcome completion of new homes at the former Laresland Primary School and Tom Johnson House sites in Kirkintilloch. I look forward to updates to the council on the opportunities for the Auchinnairn Primary School site, following the feasibility study, and to the delivery of further affordable homes in the area to meet our community needs. Upon closing on March 30, 2017, pupils were piped out of their school and were given a balloon to set free as a final farewell at the end of the day. Reacting to the news, one person wrote, was concerned disabled groups were being overlooked where education was concerned. The poster wrote, "Affordable housing, great, but what about more school places for autistic children? What about clubs or things for kids to do? Or even sensory ASD/autism groups? Woodland View is already full. The parks are not at all accessible for children with disabilities, and if they have been, they've been destroyed and wrecked. It's like the word inclusive has been forgotten about." New start at Woodland. Pupils were beaming with pride last week as they were welcomed to the new Woodland View School, with doors opening on a new term. The new Kirkintilloch campus welcomed pupils to school and early years for their very first day, with those who previously attended Campsie View and Merklin schools also experiencing something new. Youngsters from 2 to 18 years will now be taught together in the state-of-the-art additional support needs facility. Council leader Gordon Lowe was in attendance to see how children settled into their new place of learning. He told the Herald, "I'm very proud Eastern Bartonshire Council has delivered this landmark project. It will make such a difference to the lives of our young people and their families. We've worked with pupils, families and staff to create a place of learning and nurture that meets their very specific needs in a safe and welcoming environment. To witness the reaction of the children and young people as they come to the school here for the first time makes all that effort so worthwhile. The £34.9 million custom-built development is designed to be both practical and stimulating for pupils who have a broad range of additional support needs. It boasts plenty of open spaces and a sensory trail leading from the ground floor to the first floor. Both indoors and out, the school is a welcoming and comfortable learning environment with modern decor and fittings. There are breakout learning spaces, extra wide corridors and lifts out of lots of light and space." Councillor Lowe added, "I wish the head teacher, her teaching and support staff, pupils, families and the whole community of Woodland View all the very best for this first term and beyond in their new school." Head teacher Kay Hunter told how children and young people had familiarisation visits to their new school throughout the summer holidays in order to prepare them for their first day. She added, "I'm so pleased our pupils have the opportunity to really appreciate the beautiful landscape gardens and courtyard area." There's more to come yet. Woodland View School was delivered by the local authority in partnership with Scape and main contractor McLaughlin and Harvey, who followed the designs of architects, Knorr. The campus boasts plenty of open spaces and a sensory trail leading from the ground floor to the first floor. Both indoors and out, the school is a welcoming and comfortable learning environment with modern decor and fittings. There are breakout learning spaces, extra wide corridors and lifts, and lots of light and space. Whilst the school building and playground areas are complete, work continues in the community area, which consists of a full-size football pitch and biodiversity planting. It is anticipated these works will be finished in the coming months. Ms. Hunter added, "There is still plenty of exploring to be done, and there is a lot of excitement as we begin our first term in this fabulous building." Council set for cuts as unions issue warning. Councils across Scotland are set to make more than £300 million in cuts this year, sparking warnings from a union that some will not be able to provide even basic services. And Eastern Bartonshire Council, EDC, are in the top 5 local authorities to make the biggest cuts as they try to find £20.6 million worth of savings. Local authorities across the country are facing a combined 2-year shortfall of £1.12 billion by the 2025-26, despite widespread efforts to make savings on an attempt to balance the books. An analysis by the BBC's Shared Data Unit found 29 Scottish councils intend to make savings in 2023-24 worth a combined £302.2 million. The steepest cuts are being made by Aberdeen City Council, which has identified £43.4 million of savings, the equivalent of 8% of its net budget. It is followed by Glasgow City Council, which is making £31.3 million in revenue savings. Highland Council plans to make savings of £22.2 million, followed by East Bartonshire, £20.6 million, and Aberdeenshire, £18.6 million. Glasgow is forecast to have the highest cumulative shortfall, £196 million, by 2025-26, although that forecast will likely have changed since the budget was set. Other councils facing significant cumulative shortfalls by 2025-26 include Shetland, £109 million, Highland, £86.7 million, Edinburgh, £69.2 million, and Falkirk, £55.5 million. The analysis also shows that across Scotland, councils are also planning to use £211.8 million of reserves in 2023-24. As a proportion of net budgets, Shetland Islands Council is to use the most reserves in order to plug funding gaps. Its planned use of £36.7 million in reserve amounts to nearly a quarter, 24% of its net budget. Highland Council intends to draw on the £23.2 million of its reserves, followed by North Lanarkshire, £17.6 million, Orkney, £17.4 million, and Renfrewshire, £8 million. They are among 25 councils in Scotland that plan to dip into their reserves this year. Mike Short, head of local government at Unison, warned that council finances were in the direst of straits, with central government squeezes on budgets meaning that services either vanish or scale down dramatically, adding, "This is not a sustainable situation." The council's deputy chief executive, Anne Davey, said the £20.6 million fund gap was identified after EDC set its budget for the 2023-24 financial year. She added, "The budget set out plans for it to be underwritten by council's reserves, whilst a review of all council operations, designed to meet the financial challenges while continuing to deliver vital local services for our communities, was carried out. This strategy ensures the council is able to maintain services and support for residents, businesses and communities, particularly through the cost of living crisis. This also provides time to allow all options to be considered and implemented to minimise any resulting impact. Such an approach can only be sustained in the short term, with continued challenges ahead, which will be addressed through the ongoing strategic planning updates and the next budget."
A last fling for artists. A major retrospective of the work of James Greer opened in neighbouring Mulgai at the weekend. Now aged 88, this will be his last exhibition and a celebration of a prolific career spanning 7 decades. The Scottish artist's engravings, paintings and enamels are on show at the town's Lily Gallery. The exhibition showcases more than 180 wood engravings and other forms of his work dating from 1950 to the present day. A graduate of the Glasgow School of Art in 1958, James told the Herald, "I always want to go to art school, and I am privileged to have been able to pursue my passion." James honed his skills under the tutelage of Philip Reeves and Lennox Patterson, developing a lifelong love of printmaking, in particular the intricate art of wood engraving. This technique, first used in Britain at the end of the 18th century, involves carving an image on wood and applying paint to the surface of the block. The wood is then pressed onto paper to create a print. He added, "Although I have worked across different mediums, it was my father who introduced me to wood." He was an artist too, a cartoonist for the now defunct Glasgow newspaper, The Bulletin, and couldn't stand the smell of paint. He handed me some wood and small chisels instead, and it was love at first cut. I hope people will be able to see just how much my art meant and continues to mean to me and the ways in which it can enrich your life. I like to think I've made my mark. Born in 1934 in Glasgow's Townhead area, James witnessed the demolition and redevelopment of the area to make way for the new M8 motorway running straight through the city centre. These changes, coupled with the demise of heavy industry, were captured by him in his wood engravings. His prints of lone tenements and disused railway carriages document the end of an old way of life and sit alongside his vibrant vignettes of girls meeting in the street, all dolled up for a Saturday night and kids playing in the local swing park. Following art school, James became a teacher. After 35 years, he took early retirement and concentrated on his art, influenced heavily by Japanese woodblock printing. The exhibition will run until October 28th.
Royal Mail backs BHF. Heart Helpline now free to call. Calls to the British Heart Foundation's Heart Helpline have seen a 10% increase from last year, with nurses now taking up to 400 calls a week. The figures have been released as the charity announces that, thanks to their fundraising through their partnership with Royal Mail, its vital helpline is now free to call for the first time since the service was made available over 20 years ago. The Heart Helpline is a service where heart patients can call and speak to experienced cardiac nurses about their condition and concerns. The Heart Helpline, which is open 5 days a week, offers expert information and support about heart and circulatory diseases and the risk factors to approximately 80 callers a day. Switching to a free phone number means the public won't be charged for seeking support from an experienced cardiac nurse, making heart health information and guidance more accessible than ever. Maureen Talbot, senior cardiac nurse at the BHF, said, "Making our heart helpline free to call is a milestone celebration for the BHF. It's now easier than ever for someone to ring us for information and support, and they can speak to one of our dedicated and experienced cardiac nurses. This has never been more needed as hundreds of thousands of people face record-long waits for vital heart care. For over 20 years, we have been helping hundreds of thousands of people process a new diagnosis, understand clinical jargon, or being a shoulder to cry on. We are so grateful to Royal Mail for helping make our brilliant service even more accessible to support countless more patients and their families." Greg Sage, Deputy Director Corporate Affairs and ESG, Royal Mail, said, "It's fantastic that we've been able to make the Heart Helpline freely accessible for the British public, and brilliant to hear how it's going to benefit individuals and families across the country. It's only been made possible through the hard fundraising efforts of our colleagues here at Royal Mail. Royal Mail staff have pushed themselves through physical challenges, donated through payroll giving, and worked hard on initiatives to raise money for BHF. It's a proud achievement for us to have enabled the Heart Helpline to be moved to a free phone number, and we are looking forward to seeing what other impact our partnership can have. There are currently around 7.6 million people in the UK living with heart or circulatory diseases, with these conditions being the biggest killer globally. The BHF and Royal Mail partnership will last until 2026, with the goal of protecting heart health and saving lives across communities. This first fundraising milestone will be hugely significant for the 1,600 callers that come through the Heart Helpline each month, looking for expert guidance. Call the Heart Helpline for free on 0808 802 1234. That's 0808 802 1234, or visit www.bhf.org.uk/information support/heart helpline. How you can help. It is only with donations from the public that the British Heart Foundation can keep its life-saving research going. The BHF founds groundbreaking research that will bring us closer than ever to a world free from the fear of heart and circulatory diseases. The charity's aim is for a world where broken hearts are mended, where millions more survive a heart attack, where the number of people dying from or disabled by a stroke is slashed in half. A world where people affected by heart and circulatory diseases get the support they need, and a world of cures we can't even imagine today. To find out more, visit www.bhf.org.uk.
CAP is still twice the price it was 2 years ago. Scottish households will still face high energy bills this winter despite Ofgem lowering the energy price cap. The energy regulator has announced that average bills will fall by £151 from October the 1st, meaning a typical household will pay £1,923 per year. However, despite the cap falling to its lowest rate since March 2022, it still remains 50% higher than 2 years ago. The average household energy bill will continue to be hundreds of pounds higher compared to the winter of 2021 when it stood at £1,277. Consultancy firm Cornwall Insight has predicted that bills are unlikely to revert to normal levels by the end of the decade. Advice Direct Scotland, the country's national advice service, runs energyadvice.scot, which provides free, impartial and practical advice. The charity said vulnerable people, including those who must power medical equipment at home, will still struggle with their energy bills this winter due to the ongoing cost of living crisis and because they are continuing to pay significantly more than 2 years ago. It also pointed out that government help provided last year through the Energy Bill Support Scheme has come to an end. Connor Forbes, Advice Direct Scotland Policy Director, said, "Even with energy prices moving in the right direction, customers are facing a challenging winter. Bills remaining significantly higher than they were before the energy crisis began, which will be unaffordable for many households." Given the impact of the cost of living crisis, we understand that many Scots are grappling with difficult decisions about spending, even on essential items. The important thing to remember is no one should struggle alone and help is available. We would urge anyone struggling with energy costs to reach out to their supplier who may have a hardship fund that could help. Our Energy Advice.Scot service also provides free practical advice on the support and assistance available, such as grants, and ensures that people can access all entitled benefits. Anyone experiencing difficulty should visit www.energyadvice.scot or call 0808 196 8660 for assistance. Advisors are available Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Low Emissions Fund. The Scottish Government is providing £5 million to reopen the Low Emission Zone (LEZ) Support Fund for 2023-24. It offers cash incentives and travel better credits if non-compliant vehicles are removed from Scotland's roads. Administered by Energy Saving Trust, the programme is means tested and offers help to those most affected by the introduction of LEZs. The LEZ Support Fund provides households and smaller businesses with a grant of £2,000 to incentivise disposal of a non-LEZ standard vehicle. It will also offer up to a further £1,000 in grants to purchase a bike, e-bike or public transport vouchers, with £2 million set aside to retrofit light goods vehicles, heavy goods vehicles and taxis. For more information on the funding available and how to apply, visit www.lowemissionszones.scot.
Freedom Project offers hope to dogs and owners. A specialist dog fostering scheme which supports people fleeing domestic abuse is issuing an urgent plea for more foster carers in Scotland. The Freedom Project, managed by Dogs Trust, has seen a 23% increase in demand for its services over the last 12 months. It offers a lifeline for dog owners who are escaping from domestic abuse, providing temporary foster homes for dogs and enabling survivors to access safe accommodation without the fear of what may happen to their dog if they cannot take them. Pets are often abused and, in some cases, killed by the perpetrator of domestic abuse in order to control and coerce. Some 97% of professionals working in the domestic abuse sector also said that animals are often used as a means of controlling someone experiencing domestic abuse. Since launching in 2018, the Freedom Project has fostered a total of 177 dogs, supporting 135 people to flee abuse across Scotland. Due to the increase in demand on its services, Dogs Trust's Freedom Project now urgently needs additional volunteer foster carers so that the scheme can support more people. All costs are covered by Dogs Trust, including vet bills, food, treats, grooming and bedding. Involvement in fostering through the project is always kept confidential to protect both the dogs and the foster carers. Dogs are not fostered within the area that the owner is from, and the foster carer will not know who the owner is or where they live. Neil from Glasgow is one of the volunteer fosterers currently supporting the Freedom Project in Scotland. He said, "We lost our own dog about 5 years ago and, while we had a dog-shaped hole in our lives, we didn't want to commit to another dog of our own. My wife found out about dog fostering for the Freedom Project online, and we realised this was something we could do to support people in a difficult situation. Being a dog fosterer gives us the opportunity to be more sociable outdoors, and it's incredibly rewarding seeing the dog settle and to know you have provided a safe place for the dog. The owner doesn't need to worry about where the dog is, and they are a much-loved part of a family until they get to go home." Laura Saunders, Freedom Project Manager at Dogs Trust, said, "We've seen firsthand the ways that perpetrators use dogs to coerce, control, physically harm and threaten within abusive relationships. This is incredibly frightening for survivors and is often aimed to leave people isolated. By providing temporary foster homes for dogs, we support survivors to access safe accommodation with the reassurance that their dog will be taken care of until they can be reunited. Whilst we are pleased to have been able to help so many people, there is still very much a need for our service and we urgently need more foster carers. The Dogs Trust Freedom Project is looking for volunteers who are at home during the day. They must have some experience of caring for dogs and be able to commit to fostering for at least 6 months. If you would like more information, visit the Dogs Trust Freedom Project website or call 0808 196 6240. That's 0808 196 6240.
Family announcements. Deaths. Sinclair. Lambert. Peacefully at Lilyburn Care Home after a short illness. Lambert, adored husband of the late Janet, greatly loved father of Scott and Stuart and their families. Funeral service to take place at St Mary's Parish Church, Kirkintilloch, on Friday, September 1st at 11:30 a.m. Thereafter to Daldowie Crematorium, Broom House at 1 p.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations will be received after the service in aid of Lilyburn Care Home Residents Activity Fund. Acknowledgements. Brown, Anne. The family of the late Anne Brown wish to thank all who have sent kind messages of condolence, or who attended her recent funeral. This has been truly appreciated, and we are really grateful for all the support we have received. We particularly wish to thank all the many caregivers, friends and family who supported Mum in her final illness, allowing her to achieve her wish of remaining at home. A special mention is due to all her community carers, including Jackie, Janet, Noella and others. The community nursing team, including Morag, Mariah, Adele and Ruth, Dr. Mary Hannis, her GP, Campsie Pharmacy and Dr. Iona Glimmer, with the Marie Curie nurses. Visits from Father Jeremy Bath comforted her, and Co-op Funeral Care carried out her arrangements with dignity. In Memoriam. Keon, Robert. In loving memory of Robert George Keon, who died September 3rd, 1998. Always remembered. Robert, Nan and Scott.
Despite the fall, there's still a long way to go. There has been a record fall in the number of drug-related deaths in Scotland in the last year. According to the latest National Records of Scotland statistics, 1,051 people died in Scotland due to drug misuse in 2022. It is a decrease of 279 deaths compared with 2021, and represents the lowest number of drug misuse deaths since 2017. However, drug deaths are still more common than they were 2 decades ago. There were 3.7 times as many drug misuse deaths in 2022 compared with 2000. Glasgow City and Dundee City had the highest rates of drug misuse deaths over the last 5 years, while East Renfrewshire and Aberdeenshire had the lowest rates. Opiates and opioids, including heroin, morphine and methadone, were implicated in more than 8 out of 10 drug-related deaths in 2022. The majority of drug misuse deaths were classified as accidental poisonings, with 7% classed as intentional self-poisonings. The rate of drug poisoning deaths in Scotland was 2.7 times as high as the UK average in 2021, the most recent year that data is available for the UK as a whole. Julie Ramsey, NRS Head of Demographic Statistics, said, "While the drug misuse deaths have been rising over the last 2 decades, with a particularly sharp increase after 2013, today's statistics show the biggest year-on-year decrease since the series began." The statistic provides some insight into the people who are most likely to die from drug misuse. Those living in the most deprived areas of Scotland are almost 16 times as likely to die from drug misuse compared to people living in the least deprived areas. Males are twice as likely to die from drug misuse than females. However, the fall in deaths in 2022 was much larger for males than for females. The age profile of drug misuse deaths has become older over time. The average age of people who died from drug misuse deaths has increased from 32 in 2000 to 45 in 2022. Despite the fall in deaths from 1,330 in 2021 to 1,051 in 2022, Scotland has far higher drug-related deaths than the rest of the UK and Europe. The Scottish Government acknowledged that the drug-related deaths are a public health emergency and announced a national mission to reduce drug-related deaths, along with £250 million in extra funding. Drugs and Alcohol Policy Minister Eleanor Whitham said, "My sympathy goes out to all those affected by the loss of a loved one through drugs. While I am pleased to see that hundreds of families have been spared this agony and lives have been saved, every life lost is a tragedy and the number of deaths is still too high. However, those working on the ground want to see the government do more, now." Kirsten Horsburgh, Scottish Drugs Forum CEO, said, "We are well beyond the need for urgent action. The emergency demands action now and by all means possible. There could be no further delays. There is some progress, but the only real measures are both a substantial reduction in deaths and a sustained process of improvement in Scotland's wider response. We have a long, long way to go." Let's talk. Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald letters page, date 30th of August. Please send your letters via email to kirkyherald@jnscotland.co.uk and write letters in the subject field. Please keep letters to a maximum of 300 words. Letters cannot be published without a name and postal address. Also include a daytime phone number if possible. We reserve the right to edit any letter. Ferry saga rolls on while criticism seems to roll off SNP backs. Sir, the SNP has let the unbuilt ferry saga go on because it is unwilling to take decisive action. Now, the much awaited, much needed Glen Sannox is to undergo yet more changes before it can enter service. This means the promised in-service date of autumn this year has been pushed back yet again to the beginning of 2024. The time has come for the Scottish Government to finally take responsibility. The Transport Minister and even the First Minister must consider their positions. This is a national scandal and Scotland's shipbuilding reputation is being shredded. There is no wriggle room left. Yours, etc., Gerald Edwards, by email. The rich get ever richer. Sir, the stories in the press of more cuts being threatened to basic community services, to which we all have a right for the sake of a civilised society, is surely very distressing. Libraries, swimming pools, and no doubt what are seen as supplementary subjects in the school's curriculum, for example music, sports, are just examples of where the axe could fall. It is almost incomprehensible that our fire services, along with other community and social services, are targets for yet more pruning, not to mention our precious NHS and GP practices. When will one of our political parties be brave enough to stand up and be counted and declare an action plan on doing something to narrow the ever-increasing gap between the haves and the have-nots in our society? As costs increase from meeting the needs of an increasing population, it stands out a mile that taxation needs to increase to balance the books, and those receiving the sort of obscene salary levels that cause most to just gasp must pay their way. Footballers, TV presenters, often with offshore bank accounts, and some company executives are just some that come to mind. The rich just go on getting richer, while the ordinary man or woman in the street seemingly can do little but take it on the chin, shrug their shoulders, and put all these issues down to our corrupt system that no one wants to properly address. Is it possible the next general election could give us cause for hope? It would be good to think so. Yours, etc., James C. Orr. Address supplied. He sells sales. Sir, there is nothing new under the sun. In 1858, the largest ship to date, the Great Eastern, was launched. It was designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel, the premier engineer of his time. This gigantic vessel was powered by a combination of wind and steam-driven paddles and propellers. The other week, we saw the first series wind-assisted large commercial cargo vessel in 150 years, plying between China and Brazil, with impressive figures on savings of fossil fuel and consequential CO2 emissions. Congratulations are due to the America's Cup winner Sir Ben Ainslie and his company Bar and Yara Tate Marine for developing the Wind Wing, which takes the technology he developed during his sailing career to a new level. By scaling up what are in essence two very large sails in a very large ship, there is a potential to revolutionise the green credentials of currently the most polluting of transport systems. 1.5 centuries on, there is still nothing new under the sun, especially wind. Yours, etc., S.R. Wilde, by email. Ear Humza, Sir, is the First Minister trying to catch up with Airmail's Angus Robertson? He has announced a trip to New York in September. The occasion, we are told, is for a climate change event. No doubt, like Mr. Robertson, the FM will be bringing on a large entourage who all have to be housed in the best hotels, again at our expense. His presence at the event could have been covered by a minor official from Britain's New York consulate, leaving Humza Yousaf free to tackle the mountain of problems we have at home. I am not against flying as such. Hard-working families, for example, deserve a break in the warmer climate, but the difference is they do not normally make hypocritical statements about climate change and how our habits must change. Mr. Yousaf's flights will be churning out tons of carbon and making use of fossil fuel-powered aircraft for what is surely merely an ego trip at our expense, in every sense of the word. Yours, etc., Alexander Mackay. Address supplied. More powers for the SSPCA to investigate. The use of snare traps could be banned as part of new plans to protect vulnerable wildlife and promote sustainable wildlife management. The Scottish Government is seeking the public's views on whether an outright ban should be put in place or if any exemptions should be considered. A snare is a thin wire noose used for catching a wild animal for the purposes of wildlife management. The consultation is also asking for opinions on extending the investigative powers of the SSPCA, a new measure which will help tackle wildlife crime. This will involve giving SSPCA inspectors more authority to search, examine and seize evidence related to incidents of illegal hunting and other offences related to wildlife persecution. Environment Minister Gillian Martin said, "Snare traps lead to unnecessary suffering for animals, and these proposals are part of our ongoing efforts to ensure that wildlife management is both sustainable and humane. Currently, only a small number of farmers and land managers use snare traps. More effective and humane forms of managing wildlife are available, and we will continue to support the industry to make use of these methods. Wildlife crime and the illegal killing of wild animals continues to blight our rural communities. By extending the investigative powers of SSPC inspectors, we can ensure that the destructive impact on these criminals have on our environment is diminished and they are brought to justice. Snares can cause significant injury, prolonged suffering and death to wildlife. There is also a risk that non-targeted wildlife species and pets can be caught in them. The use of snares to catch certain animals, including foxes, hares and rabbits, is currently permitted in Scotland. However, it must be carried out in accordance with the requirements set out in Section 11 of the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981. The majority of European countries do not allow the use of snare traps, and they are currently only legal in 6 European countries: the UK, Belgium, France, Ireland, Spain and Latvia. SSPCA Chief Superintendent Mike Flynn said, "As Scotland's animal welfare charity, we have long called for an outright ban on the use of snares due to the level of suffering an animal is caused. Animals that are caught in snares can be caused unimaginable physical and mental anguish. Following reports from members of the public, we have found domestic animals, protected species and target animals that have all suffered dreadfully in both illegal and legal snares. A ban on snaring is the only way to stop this unacceptable suffering. We are very pleased with the announcement of a ban, which will be a historic moment for the animal welfare in Scotland." Subject to consultation, the new provisions will be included in the Scottish Government's upcoming Wildlife Management and Muirburn, Scotland Bill, which will aim to protect the environment and help end the persecution of birds of prey. The consultation will run for 6 weeks, from August 22nd to October 3rd.
Turning dreams into a reality. A £425,000 fund designed to support projects and ideas to benefit the environment and local communities has opened for its 4th round of applications. Crown Estate Scotland Sustainable Communities Fund, set up in 2020, has already delivered around £970,000 in valuable support to people across the country. It consists of 2 grant programmes. Community Capacity Grants, open to all communities within 5 miles of Scotland's coastline or one of Crown Estate Scotland's 4 rural estates. Early stage financial support is available for community projects that will contribute to local regeneration and sustainable development. Grants will range between £20,000 and £50,000, with a total of £300,000 being made available in this year of the programme. Environment grants available to Crown Estate Scotland tenants, providing grants of between £5,000 and £20,000 for projects which can deliver demonstrable environmental benefits within 18 months of an award being made. A total of £125,000 is available this year. Annie Breeden, Head of Policy for Crown Estate Scotland, said, "Over the past 3 years, the fund has provided almost £1 million in practical support to an incredible array of projects across Scotland, helping people and their communities. We're now looking for new applications so even more people can source the support to turn their aspirations and ideas into reality. For more details, visit www.crownestate.scotland.com/our-projects/sustainable-communities-fund environment-grants.
Have you got the flair for scholarship? The Andrew Fairley Scholarship is inviting applications from chefs working in Scotland to be in with a chance of winning life-changing educational opportunities to advance their careers. Launched in 2019 with the late Andrew Fairley fronting the initiative, the scholarship is provided in partnership with HIT Scotland, an industry charity Andrew was closely associated with. Now in its 4th year, the Andrew Fairley Scholarship is supported by HIT Scotland, Restaurant Andrew Fairley, Perth College UHI and the Glen Eagles Hotel. Eddie Brown was awarded the scholarship last year, earning him recognition as an Andrew Fairley Scholar and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to build on his culinary education. Some of the country's finest chefs will judge the 2023 competition, including Stephen McLaughlin, head chef at Restaurant Andrew Fairley, and MasterChef winner and National Chef of Scotland, Gary McLean. Steph said, "The judges will be looking to see a clear demonstration of the applicant's skills, but also want to see and feel their creativity, flair and personality. We're not necessarily looking for a Michelin star chef. What we are searching for is someone with a sharp eye for detail and a really clean set of skills." The winner of this year's scholarship will be taken on a 2-day educational trip to France with Grand Cuisine and gain hands-on experience at a number of restaurants as well as a bespoke chef's jacket. Applications close at midnight on September 24th. To find out more and apply, visit the HIT Scotland website.
Weird noises and hunt for Nessie. Hundreds of volunteers participated in the largest surface area search of Loch Ness in 50 years at the weekend. Numerous potential sightings and strange noises were heard from the depths of the Loch Ness. Wild weather on Saturday didn't put off hardy hunters, who flocked along both sides of the 23-mile-long waterway to volunteer in the surface watch, alongside hundreds who participated online via webcams. Highlights from the weekend included 4 mysterious and previously unheard loud noises from the depths of the loch, possible video footage of the monster with mysterious humps filmed in the loch moving before disappearing, and an online volunteer capturing a great shadow just under the surface, moving, dipping out of sight, then swimming across again. Alan McKenna of Loch Ness Exploration said, "I'd like to thank all the volunteers who supported us over the weekend, both in person and online. It was an exceptional weekend, with lots of potential sightings and huge interest from across the globe. We know the monster is elusive, so it is not surprising we don't have a concrete sighting, but we've all had lots of fun and proven the mystery lives on. As for what happens next, watch this space." Nessie is clearly still capturing people's imagination and interest, as much today as it did 90 years ago. The monster has become so popular worldwide that Continuum Attractions, which runs award-winning visitor attractions across the UK, has recently invested in the new Loch Ness Centre, giving visitors and enthusiasts the chance to take a tour and learn more about the history, view real artefacts and see the scientific evidence. At the end of the experience, guests are given the chance to debate the existence of Nessie. Paul Nixon, Loch Ness Centre General Manager, said, "The excitement of the weekend has proven that the ongoing hunt for the Loch Ness Monster is still very much alive and continues to draw and attract a global audience from America, Canada, France, Italy, Japan, and more. We all want the same thing, to see and find out what the Loch Ness Monster is."
Online support for ASN apprentices. A free online event aims to help parents, carers and individuals understand the support in place to help apprentices with additional support needs. The Scottish Apprenticeships Additional Support Needs webinar will take place on Thursday the 7th of September from 6:30pm to 7:30pm on Microsoft Teams. Organised by Scotland's skills agency Skills Development Scotland, the event enables people to hear from those who support apprentices in training and in work to ensure they achieve and succeed. Attendees can also listen to apprentices and parents share their experiences of the help provided to meet additional support needs on an apprenticeship. The webinar session will be recorded with British Sign Language translation available. Register to attend by logging on to www.bit.ly/apprenticeshipsevent ASN.
30th of August, District News General. Kirkintilloch, Boys Brigade, First Kirkintilloch Company, the Boys Brigade. The new session for the Boys Brigade in St Columba's Hillhead Church is about to start. we aim to provide an opportunity for boys to learn, grow and discover in a safe, fun and caring environment. There are opportunities to develop skills, build confidence, make friends, work towards awards, make a difference in the local community, and, of course, have fun. Our work is based on a vision of children and young people living life to the full. John chapter 10 verse 10. The company's 2023-24 session gets underway on Friday, September the 1st, with all sections meeting in St Columba's Church Halls, Old Ell Road, Kirkintilloch. We have vacancies in all sections, and any boys who wish to join us will be most welcome. If you're not quite ready to commit, you can come along any Friday evening to see what we do and take part in our range of activities. Our 4 sections each have broad programmes suitable for the different age groups. Anchors for boys in P1 to P3 meets at 6:15pm to 7:15pm. Juniors for boys in P4 to P6 meets 6:45pm to 8:15pm. Company for boys in P7, S2 and seniors for boys in S3, S6 meets 7:30pm to 10pm. For more details, see our website onekirkintilloch.boys-brigade.org.uk and our Facebook page www.facebook.com/FirstKirkintillochBB. We also have vacancies for adult helpers. Anyone who would like to become a leader should contact us via email onekirkbb@gmail.com. Horticultural Society Flower Show. The annual flower shows will take place in the small hall at St Mary's Church, Kirkintilloch, on Saturday, September the 2nd, and will be run on the same lines as last year, that is, a more informal show than we used to stage prior to COVID. There will be no show membership fees, nor charges for entry, though donations will be welcome at the door. Certificates will be awarded to the best exhibit in each class. The hall will be open to exhibitors from 10am to noon, after which it will close for judging. It will then reopen to the public between 2pm and 4pm. Schedules, with rules of entry and details of classes, are available from Calder's Garden Centre and the William Patrick Library, or online at our website www.kirkintillochhorty.org.uk. Alternatively, those wishing to find out more can phone our President Paul Malcolm on 0141 578 1520. Fundraising. Inner Wheel raised £900 for Carers Link. The Inner Wheel Club of Kirkintilloch has once again proven their commitment to making a positive impact on their community by raising an impressive £900 for Carers Link. This invaluable contribution will directly benefit the young carers in Kirkintilloch, supported by Carers Link, who often shoulder immense responsibilities and sacrifices from a young age. Margaret Pears, President of the Inner Wheel Club of Kirkintilloch, said, after hearing an inspirational talk from one of the Carers Link young carers, the Carers Link young carer support worker, and their fundraiser, our members felt that the young carers in our community are often overlooked, and we would therefore like to support them through Carers Link. We are delighted that, due to the generosity of members and friends, we were able to make this donation. Thanks to this generosity, Carers Link will be able to offer summer holiday activities, providing these young carers with a well-deserved break from their demanding responsibilities. These activities will not only offer a fun and memorable time for the young carers, but also serve as a crucial opportunity for them to connect with others who share similar experiences. The funds will also go towards supporting residential breaks for the young carers, allowing them to take some time away from their carer duties to relax and rejuvenate. These breaks can be transformative, offering a chance to escape from the daily challenges and pressures they face. Jennifer Rowe, Chief Executive of Carers Link, said, the contribution from the Inner Wheel Club of Kirkintilloch will hugely benefit the lives of our young carers and demonstrates the power of collective kindness and compassion to uplift and empower those facing challenging circumstances. If you are interested in helping to support unpaid carers in Eastern Bartonshire, please contact Veronica at Carers Link on 07827 062 645. veronica@carerslink.org.uk, or donate directly online. For more information on CarersLink, www.carerslink.org.uk or inquiry@carerslink.org.uk. Football. Lindsay After School Football restarts at Lindsay Academy Astro on Monday 28th of August from 4:30 till 6 p.m. for P7 pupils at the local primary schools. For additional information, please text 0749 018 5143.
Public notices. Traffic notices. North Lanarkshire Council, unnamed road off B8048, Kirkintilloch Road, Cumbernauld. Proposed no waiting at any time order 20***. North Lanarkshire Council proposed to consider the introduction of a traffic regulation order, the effect of which will be to implement no waiting at any time restrictions on the unnamed road carriageway off the B8048 Kirkintilloch Road, Cumbernauld, as detailed under noted. From its junction with B8048 Kirkintilloch Road southwards and then south-eastwards to its termination, a distance of 60 metres or thereby on the west side of the road. From its junction with B8048 Kirkintilloch Road southwards for a distance of 20 metres or thereby on the east side of the road. Full details of the draft traffic regulation order, which form the proposed North Lanarkshire Council (unnamed road off B8048 Kirkintilloch Road, Cumbernauld) proposed no waiting at any time order 20***, together with a statement of reasons and plans, are available for inspection on the Council's website at www.northlanarkshire.gov.uk/your-communities/consultations. Or, alternatively, a hard copy is available for inspection during normal office hours, Monday to Friday inclusive, at the office of the Chief Officer, Legal and Democratic, North Lanarkshire Council, Civic Centre, Windmill Hill Street, Motherwell, ML1 1AB. Any person wishing to make representations in support of or raise an objection to the proposals must do so in writing to the Chief Officer, Legal and Democratic, North Lanarkshire Council, Civic Centre, Windmill Hill Street, Motherwell, ML1 1AB, or to the email address troconsultation@northlan.gov.uk, no later than Wednesday the 27th of September 2023, and must contain the name and address of the person making the representation/objection, the matters to which they relate, and the grounds on which they are made. Archie Atkin, Chief Officer of Legal and Democratic, Civic Centre, Windmill Hill Street, Motherwell, ML1 1AB, northlanarkshire.gov.uk. New signing as a Tigers coup. An article written by Brian Yule and read by me, Corey. Glasgow Tigers have pulled off a fabulous coup by signing Russian rider Vadim Tarasenko following the recent departure of Marcin Nowak. Nowak was recalled full-time by his Polish club. I'm not going to attempt to say that. It's spelled STALRZESZO with an umlaut and then W. His final appearance coming in the win over Berwick Bandits earlier this month. He told the club's website, together with the management of my Polish club, "We think if I stay in Poland, it will help me fully focus on my league at home. I want to say a big thank you to the fans for your belief in me, and a big thanks to the club for giving me a chance to show my skills. Tigers have had 3 away matches since Nowak left, and the side concluded a busy spell of 5 matches in 7 days. They made it 6 championship wins in a row last Tuesday, beating Plymouth Gladiators 48-42, their batting qualities to the fore as an 8-man scrap broke out after Nathan Ablett went in hard under Tigers captain Tom Brennan in Heat 6. The run came to an end the next night, losing 53-37 at Pole Pirates, joined by guest Richie Worrell, who had competed against them for Plymouth 24. Ace Pidgeper crashed both nights and was absent from the trip to Skirnthorpe Scorpions on Friday as Tigers lost 54-36 in their second heaviest defeat for the season. Tarasenko missed last season due to the FIM sanctioned ban following the invasion of Ukraine, but got a Polish licence to sign for Grudzadz and Petersburg Panthers. It is hoped Tarasenko will make his Tigers debut as Oxford Cheetahs visit Ashfield on September 8th. Tigers boss Cammy Brown said, "It's a fabulous coup. Vadim is world class and a great guy. We know our fans will be delighted with the news." It was tough to lose Marcin at this crucial stage of the season. He was massively popular at Ashfield and always will be. It's been a difficult week trying to replace Marcin. It was very challenging trying to finalise paperwork in one instance, but Vadim was on our radar as a possible target, and this is a massive boost for the club. We have always promised the fans at Glasgow we would try and bring the best entertainment to Ashfield, and Vadim will certainly add to that. That article was written by Brian Yule and read by me, Corey.
Sides will be up for the Cup. The first round of the Scottish Junior Cup takes place on Saturday, with plenty of local interest in winning the 137-year-old competition. 3 times winners Kirkintilloch Rob Roy last lifted the trophy past in 1962 and will start their campaign with a trip to Gartcairn. You have to go back even further for the last of Peter Hishell's 5 wins to 1956, and they're at home to Cambuslang Rangers. Ashfield are 4 times winners, but not since 1910, and they will travel to Kilburnie Ladeside. Hoping to put their names in the trophy for the first time are Caledonian Locomotives and Rossvale. Cali locals are away to White Hills, while Rossvale travel to Wishaw. Before the romance of the Cup kicks in, there were still league points to be won on Saturday. Rob Roy drew 2-2 away to Troon in the West of Scotland Premier Division to stretch their unbeaten run to 6 games. There was disappointment in the First Division, as Peterhill lost 3-2 at home to Kilwinning Rangers, while Ashfield were beaten 3-1 at Renfrew. Glasgow Perthshire was the only local side to win at the weekend, with a 6-0 victory away to Wishaw in the Second Division, but in the same league, Cali locals went down 3-0 at Vale of Clyde. West Park United have a record of 2 wins, 2 draws and 2 defeats, with 14 goals for and 14 against in the Third Division, following a 3-3 draw at home to Vale of Leven. Rossvale's trip to BSC Glasgow in the 4th Division was postponed.
Archie reveals stars left him awestruck. An article by Brian Yule and read by me, Corey. A brush salesman inadvertently sent Archie Macpherson on his path to becoming one of the best-known voices in Scottish sport. Following a career spanning more than 50 years in broadcasting, he has now detailed the 13 sports people who made the biggest impact on his life in Touching the Heights, personal portraits of Scottish sporting greats. Macpherson said, "I've always been a writer since way back. My introduction to the BBC was not sport. It was a short story that I wrote for the Light programme when I was teaching. In Glenboig, I saw an Indian salesman going round the doors trying to sell brushes. There was a wee boy following him, so I decided to write a short story about how that wee boy helped him sell his brushes. I sent it to the BBC, where Bob Crampsey's uncle, Jimmy Crampsey, was the producer and drama and talks, and he sent me a letter back saying he liked it. I wrote back asking if I could come in and read it myself, which was absurd pretension on my part, but I did it anyway. He came in and listened to me and said, "No, I'll get an actor to do this," who turned out to be Michael Elder, most famous for Take the High Road. But I was in the canteen and this guy, whose name I can't remember, spoke to me and asked if I liked football. And I told him I'd played for Queen's Park Hampden 11. He asked in that case if I'd fancy doing some sport for them, because he had heard my voice and it was okay. And that was it. It was a totally different entry into my career that had nothing to do with sport. So I've always been a writer, and if you're a writer, then you absorb and retain things, so these stories come to you without too much brow furrowing. Featured in the book are Macpherson's interactions with footballing greats Jock Stein, Tommy Docherty, Jim Baxter, Jimmy Johnston, Ali MacLeod, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jim McLean, and Graham Souness. Olympians Sandra Whittaker and Dr. Bridget Burgett. Golfer Eric Brown and the voice of Scottish rugby Bill McLaren. But it also started with world flyweight boxing champion Jackie Patterson. Patterson said, "Those featured just came naturally. I could write another 10 books about all the people I've had dealings with, but that would be a bit artificial." I was thinking about writing about the boxer Jackie Patterson, largely because I wanted to link it with the disappearance of the tramcar, and as I was thinking about this, others came into the mind, who affected me as much as Jackie. Jackie was the oldest experience. I was only maybe 10 or 11 at the time. My father was bestotted with Jackie Patterson. Hugh McIlvaney said he had pound for pound the best punch in the business, and if McIlvaney says that, and he knows his stuff, then it endorses what my father thought about him. He had the big punch. He put people away. The big disappointment was attending the famous bout at Hampden Park, and the big punch never emerged as he won on points. I wanted to see him put a man on the canvas, and it was the beginning of his decline. That is why I link it to the decline of the tramcar, because I went to the fight on a tram, and came back on a bus, the first bus I had ever been in. I then started writing about Tommy Docherty, because he grew up near me in Shettleston, and started the book with him largely because of the incident where he hung out for money which we have never heard of at the BBC before. The others came to mind for one reason or another. I thought of sports other than football because I started with Jackie. I went to 2 Olympics, and the 2 who stood out were from LA, as Sandra Whittaker set the Scottish 200-metre record, which still stands to this day, and Richard Burgett won Scotland's only gold medal. Macpherson wrote a biography of Jock Stein nearly 20 years, but was keen to still include the Celtic legend, albeit with a different slant. He said Stein was never going to be out of it. If I was gathering people round a table, then he would be there. I wanted to place Stein in the context of miners winning things in the previous book. I had only written about Scottish football, but I can virtually see Blantyre from my studio window, and I likened Stein to David Livingstone in terms of achievements. So it was a different take on him. It is a gathering of tales, which, if you string them out, tells you something about Scottish sport, and indeed a little about Scottish society. I was a teacher who was suddenly put into this area with these great sports people, and I was always kind of awestruck. I got to know some of them very well indeed, and I was still awestruck. Macpherson doesn't believe the same bond can be fostered between the media and top sports people today. He said, "We're losing the degree of intimacy, like Docherty being brought up 3 closes from me. You got through to them, and they got through to you, because we all had the same kind of expertise." Towards the end of my time in commentating, managers and players, sports people in general, became more remote. Particularly in football, there are so many foreigners, which isn't to degrade them, but in many cases they don't speak the same language, and everything is tightly managed, so it must be nearly impossible to form a bond. Touching the Heights, published by Lewith Press, the shortlist for Sports Entertainment Book of the Year at Sports Book Awards 2023, and is available from Amazon, Waterstones, etc. That article was written by Brian Yule and read by me, Corey. Lovera's first goal rescues a point. American striker Brenna Lovera scored her first goal in Glasgow City shirt to rescue a point away to Rangers women on Sunday. City went into the clash with another of the SWPL1 heavyweights off the back of a 4-1 win at home to Motherwell in midweek. Emily Whelan and Claire Walsh put the hosts 2 up before former City forward Cara Boyce pulled 1 back. Corey Sullivan struck a minute from the break to restore the 2-goal advantage, and then added another in the second half to seal the victory. Things would be a lot tighter at Broadwood on Sunday, although City almost got off the perfect start as Lovera headed against the bar in the first minute. At the other end, Lee Gibson, who recently signed a contract extension with the club, did well to claw away Mairead Fulton's effort. Following a goalless first half, the home team would take the lead 3 minutes after the break as Maya Macaulay found the net from a Kirsty McLean ball. However, they would only be ahead for 4 minutes, as Lauren Davidson went on a 50-yard run before setting up Lovera to restore parity. Next up for City is the visit of Hearts on Sunday, who have won 3 from 4. Rossville women made it 2 wins from 2 in the Championship as they beat East Fife 3-2 away from home. Gemma McQuillan and Mel Porter put the visitors 2 up at the break, before Fiona Cully scored a free kick, and while the Fifers pulled 2 back, it wasn't enough. Rossville are at home to Inverness Caledonian Thistle on Sunday, who have also won their opening 2 games.
That concludes this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.